I made this shirt right after the mugshot came out because it's one of the most, important photos of all time.
Yeah. Why is it important?
Um, I mean, it just shows you how corrupt the system is that he could be, arrested and shown in front of everyone like in this embarrassing manner on totally trumped up charges.
Asking Mega Girl if she would rather date an illegal or a liberal.
Would you rather date an illegal immigrant or a liberal?
Oh my gosh. That is like the worst question ever. I don't know. Like, probably. Oh my gosh. I would say no. I would say an illegal immigrant.
Donald Trump didn't win the majority of young people in Iowa, but they are here at his rally in New Hampshire to see him.
He doesn't lie to us. He's not a polished politician, which I think is a benefit because he's not going to try and hide and lie.
Welcome back, friends, to another Think Out Loud video. Coffee's hot, sarcasm's hotter, so let's get into it. You know, every now and then I look at young MAGA voters and I just shake my head. It's like watching somebody swipe their debit card for a purchase they know will overdraft their account, but they still smile like it's a smart financial move. That's basically the political equivalent of what's happening here. These are folks who should be fighting for affordable college, decent health care, real job opportunities, basic future survival stuff. But instead, they signed up for policies that treat those things like optional add-ons, the way airlines charge you extra for breathing room. And here's the kicker. They cheer while the very ground beneath them gets chipped away. So in today's breakdown, we're talking about how young MAGA voters didn't just co-sign policies that hurt other people. They signed the paperwork that keeps tripping up their own future. And honestly, if that's not the purest definition of self-sabotage, I don't know what is.
People can't afford to live, people can't afford gas, people can't afford food, people can't afford rent. The cost of living has gone up within these past 4 years, and I think that everyone here has been a victim of that.
In the future, I want to be able to own a home. And when he was president, the prices were a lot lower, especially for home buyers. And that is a huge issue for me. I want to be able to own my own home. I want to be able to start a family at an affordable cost.
I like the no tax on tips and no tax on overtime. I'm a big fan of lowering taxes personally. And in high school, I worked jobs that I earned money through tips. So that would have been able to help me save a lot more for college. And I think that would have helped me out a lot more in the long run.
I'm a big Christian, and I feel like that's the most important thing. And if the country is led towards righteousness and goodness, then we're going to be in a good place. And if it's not, which I believe that Kamala Harris would bring us all the way down and sink us and make us corrupt, we're not going to be able to get out of it.
So you just saw that clip, young folks, all bright-eyed, talking about how voting for Trump was going to lower the cost of living, make housing affordable, and set them up to own homes. And listen, I don't even blame them for wanting those things. Who doesn't want a shot at stability, right? A roof you can actually afford, groceries that don't make you cry at checkout, a little breathing room in life. But here's where it gets painful. They weren't sold solutions. They were sold slogans. They were promised that some magic policy would make everything cheaper, while in reality, the cost of living kept climbing. Housing got even harder to reach, and wages stayed flat. It's like thinking you bought a ticket to Disney World, but realizing it only takes you to the parking lot. And here's the psychology behind it. When you're young, it's easy to buy into simple answers. It feels good when someone tells you your generation will be the winners, that everything will turn around if you just pick their team. That's called hope bias. You cling to the promise because you need it to be true. But the reality? The very policies they cheered for ended up boxing them out of the very future they were dreaming about. So instead of houses and lower living costs, a lot of these same young voters are stuck with skyrocketing rents, higher debt, and fewer opportunities. And the kicker? They voted for it themselves.
On the economy, his positions on foreign policy, on trade. He is very pro-American. He's pro-me, pro the aspirations that I have for the future. I am definitely for Trump. I have been to Haley events. I tried to go to a Ron event. Forgive me, I couldn't put up with it. It was too boring.
A huge theme beyond policy or even Donald Trump himself, the sense of community that people feel from being a part of the MAGA movement and coming to rallies like this one.
Most Trump supporters in the MAGA movement, they're really nice guys. They're very smart people. Like this guy over here, I just meet him in line randomly, and he's talking about some proper intelligent stuff. And it's amazing when you talk to these people in line.
I've been talking to a ton of people in line today. Everyone's having a great time. So that's definitely a big thing.
I love Trump.
I love Donald Trump. Daddy Trump is going to win in 2024.
Trump 2024, that's just it.
We love Donald Trump.
Trump 2024.
Vote for Trump!
A huge part of the cost of living crisis that young people are complaining about, it's tied directly to education. And you'd think this generation would be rallying for more affordable college, better trade school programs, or even a little help with student loan relief. But nope. A lot of young MAGA voters lined up behind a movement that paints higher education as some kind of brainwashing factory.
The more elite the university and advanced that a graduate is, the dumber they are. The less likely I am to trust them. If you went to the Ivy League, prove to me that you have any common sense.
I'm sorry, what were you saying about the more elite your school was, the dumber you are? Are we going to continue to allow conservative politicians, journalists, and Secretary of Defense appointees, all with Ivy League degrees, go on mainstream media night after night trying to convince us that getting a college degree isn't worth it, that getting an education isn't worth it anymore? They're trying to convince you that it's not important for your child to receive an education, and they're most certainly making sure that their kid is going to school and getting into an Ivy League college. Do you think that the 1% gives a damn about how much money their kid is going to make after they get the college degree that they earn? They're playing the long game. They're playing the power grab game and convincing us that we just need to settle for our $25 an hour and shut up. They know that anti-intellectualism is a fast track to fascism, and some of y'all are still trying to figure that part out.
My three things: education, government, who benefits. USA Today reporter Aaliyah Guang quoted Senator Cornyn of Texas as saying, "A college degree is not a shared experience. It's not like roads, hospitals, or police departments, which benefit everyone." He said individuals in debt made that decision to borrow the money, and they alone will reap the benefits of that degree. You can decide if Senator Cornyn is a deliberate liar or just ignorant of facts. This country became the world's superpower because the government borrowed vast fortunes to pay returning military to attend college and or learn a technical skill. History shows that without government assistance, most of those GIs would have been uneducated and on welfare. U.S. tax revenues would have been minuscule. Attending my 50th college reunion this weekend, my wife and I remember struggling at 2 jobs and accumulating school loans so that I could receive my Colgate degree. Still, without the help of an admittedly stingy GI Bill and federal aid to colleges, it would not have been possible. Today, during a period of increasing labor shortages, MAGA Republicans remain determined to make a college education unaffordable for all but the well-off. Society benefits immensely from education investments. Hospitals require trained healthcare providers like doctors and nurses like my wife. Skilled engineers, planners, and heavy equipment operators are required to build and maintain roads and railroads. While good law enforcement requires a well-educated police force. Perhaps it is not the cost of education that troubles MAGA Republicans, but rather the critical thinking skills required to complete education and training. MAGA fears educated people.
We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated. In a few moments, I will sign an executive order to begin eliminating the Federal Department of Education once and for all. Smart people don't like me, you know, and they don't like what we talk about.
Let me break this down for a second, because this is important. Education costs don't just vanish once you graduate. They follow you like a shadow. The average student loan debt in this country hovers around $30,000 to $40,000. That's basically like having an extra rent payment every month, except you don't even get a place to live out of it. And every dollar going to Sally Mae or Navient is a dollar not going to groceries, rent, or even just breathing room. And it's not just about debt. Education usually determines how much you can earn. Sure, not every good-paying job needs a degree, but let's be real. The higher your education, the higher your chances of breaking out of paycheck-to-paycheck survival mode. Rejecting education or student loan relief means voting against your own chance at a better income. And the ripple effects? Massive. Student debt delays buying a home, starting a family, investing in the future. So when young MAGA voters cheer for policies that block relief, what they're really doing is locking themselves into the same financial cage they say they want to escape. Psychologically, this is classic in-group loyalty. If their political tribe says education is bad, they'll believe it, even if it means they'll be paying loans till their hair goes gray. And that's the sad irony. They voted against their own best shot at lowering their cost of living, and now they're feeling the weight of that choice.
You guys think you'll vote for?
I don't particularly love him, but Trump.
Trump? Okay.
Yeah, Trump too. But
Awesome.
he's not amazing, but he's the best option in my opinion.
Yes. Yeah.
Who do you think you'll be voting for?
I need to research it more, but at the moment it seems like out of the candidates we have, Trump seems to be the best in my opinion.
Why exactly is that?
It seemed while he was in office, a lot of good things were made, especially in the economy. Things were really good. It was easier to build homes, to purchase, so things just seemed better. Like positive improvements seemed to be made while he was in office.
Why do you think you guys will vote for Trump?
He'll help economically, and I'm very much Republican.
He's the closest aligned to my political views that out of all of our options. So,
And what would you say your political views are?
I am not going to answer that just because I'm on video. I'm sorry.
That's perfectly fine.
All right, let's talk about work. Because at the end of the day, education or not, everyone's got bills to pay. And young MAGA voters still believe Trump is the guy who's going to fix that. You hear the same promises. Wages are going up. Good-paying jobs are coming back. And for a while, some of them really hold on to that hope. But here's what's actually happening. Wages are stuck, basically flat when you adjust for inflation, while the cost of everything, rent, gas, groceries, you name it, keeps climbing. So the reality for young voters right now is this. They're working just as hard, sometimes harder, but feeling poorer every single month. Picture this. You finally get a raise at work, maybe a buck or two more an hour, and you feel excited. But then the price of eggs, gas, and rent all jump way faster than your paycheck. That raise? Gone before it even lands. And yet many young MAGA supporters keep cheering like this is some kind of victory. Psychologically, this is pure cognitive dissonance. The reality you live doesn't match the belief you cling to, so your brain does gymnastics to make it fit. In this case, it sounds like, well, things are tough now, but Trump says it'll get better in the long run. Except that long run keeps stretching further and further, while their wallets keep getting thinner. And the kicker? The stable jobs they thought were coming back, especially in manufacturing, aren't showing up the way they imagined. Instead, many young people are hustling gig work, juggling side jobs, or watching automation swallow up the industries they were told would save them. So right now, while they think they've secured a future with better paying jobs, what they've really locked themselves into is more instability. And that's the irony. They voted for security, and instead, They voted themselves into uncertainty.
This just in, the U.S. lost over 33,000 jobs in the month of June under the Trump administration. The Trump administration predicted that we would gain over 100,000 jobs. That's what Fox News was prepared to report. They were so excited to share that information, but unfortunately for Fox, unfortunately for Trump, and really unfortunately for the American people, people are losing their jobs under the Trump administration, and frankly, this is just the beginning. It's only going to get worse thanks to Trump's tariffs that are going to make everything more expensive for American companies. Why would they continue to hire people if suddenly everything they have to pay for from other countries is more expensive? It's going to make everything more expensive for our universities, where people are being laid off over things like DEI and woke. Don't even get me started on the big budget bill, which is an economy killer. This bill is literally going to kick millions off of healthcare, but it's also going to make so many companies suffer.
You just saw that clip. Jobs disappearing under the very administration that promised the exact opposite. And this is where the story really starts to shift. Because at first, it's all blind loyalty, chance, and red hats. But when the pink slips start landing, when rent keeps climbing, and when groceries eat up more than half a paycheck, suddenly reality doesn't feel so great again. And that's when the cracks begin to show. Some of these young MAGA voters, the same ones who swore Trump was their ticket to a better life, are now looking around wondering, wait a minute, did I just vote myself into this mess? This is the stage I like to call finding out. Because supporting policies that don't actually line up with your own needs might feel like winning for a season, but eventually the bill always comes due. And for young voters, that bill looks like student debt piling higher, wages stuck in neutral, and jobs vanishing into thin air. It's not about laughing at the regret. It's about understanding how quickly hype can turn into hardship when the promises don't match reality. And for a lot of young MAGA, that realization is hitting right now, in real time.
Young white men in the 2024 election, like, what happened? Why are all the white men, young white men, abandoning Trump? Well, the New York Times found it out. They talked to a lot of them. Here is what one young voter, Mustafa, a 28-year-old from Georgia, said. The way that he's been handling things recently, it's a dictatorship. I mean, we're focused on Ukraine and Israel more than I feel like the United States. The military, I like it, has gotten much better than it used to. But I thought he was going to come in and end the wars in Ukraine and the Middle East. You thought wrong. And what do you mean the military is better than it used to? What does that mean? How is the military better today than it was a year ago? I mean, we know what you're referring to, Mustafa. I just want you to say it out loud, right? Let's see how bigoted that sounds when you say it out loud. Because we all know what you're talking about. And now, of course, we know why you voted for Trump. You feel betrayed by his policies, and you kind of regret it, it seems. But you voted on him because you hate certain groups of people, right? You wanted bad things to happen to other people, not you. Well, piss off. You deserve it. Quentin, a 33-year-old also from Georgia, believes Trump is not living up to his promises regarding the economy. For me, it comes down to taxes and jobs. The job market is just not good at all. I have a lot of friends and family members who are struggling to find work. He made it seem like he was going to look out for the working class people, and it's the exact opposite. I agree with you, Quentin. John, 28-year-old in Florida, said, I feel like even though my specific investment in cryptocurrency is doing good overall, he has ruined the cryptocurrency market for a lot of cryptocurrencies. A lot of these rich people are just pumping and dumping stuff coming out with the tokens, and this is not really what I voted for. I mean, Trump didn't launch his, crypto thing until after the election, so yeah, maybe I give you a pass, maybe not. Kelsey, a 32-year-old independent, said, I just think it's way too aggressive, even if it's the worst of the criminals.
You've just heard from one of my favorite creators on TikTok at FairandBalance2112. And if you've been rocking with this channel for a while, you already know I'm a fan. I've shared his stuff before. If you're new here, go check out his work. Seriously, the man breaks it down. Now, based on what he just shared, you can hear it plain as day. These young voters are regretting. The shine is wearing off. All those promises they were sold, Turns out they don't cash out the way they thought. And once the hype fades, what you're left with is the real chain reaction. Debt that won't go away, wages that don't cover the basics, jobs slipping out from under them, and a cost of living that just keeps climbing. That's when it really hits. They didn't just buy into a political slogan. They signed up for a cycle that keeps getting harder to break out of.
So y'all voted red and now you're broke, mad, and confused. So let's talk about it. The young people who voted for Trump and the Republican movement, they are already regretting their vote. And I'm not even going to pretend to be surprised because I knew it would happen. And y'all got to understand, it's because this is always the play. See, a lot of young people didn't have the tools to really critically think about the impacts of what Trump's policies would have on their lives. And you know why? Because the American education system was never built for you to think critically. It was built to keep you just smart enough to pass a test, but not smart enough to question power. So when the propaganda machine started pumping, most of y'all didn't even know how to check that stuff to know what was factual and what was a lie. You didn't even know how to look past the shiny slogans, the memes, the TikToks, and actually ask real questions like, how does this policy impact me? My rent, my student loan, my future. And now here you are, under this Trump-led regime, finding out the hard way that Republicans do not have your back. That same party that you thought was about freedom is deciding the books you can read now, what rights you have, and whether you can even afford to survive. And look, I get it. When you're young, it feels like political policies and government and all that stuff, it feels like it's just background noise. You think it's something for old people to just argue about, but you see, it is not just noise. It's your life, boo. And if you don't take this seriously, the folks who do take this seriously, you know that older generation that's been controlling everything forever, they gonna keep stacking the deck against you. So now my question is, now that you are living under the policies that you voted for, are you ready to wake up yet? Are you ready to stop treating government like a joke and start treating it like survival? Because until young people wake up, old people are gonna keep cashing checks on your future.
Now, at the Bishop, Tutu said it exactly the way it needed to be said. If the young people in this country don't wake up, get informed, and stop voting based on who their parents supported, or worse, just who they hate or blindly love too much, then nothing changes. The truth is, this generation holds more power than they realize. They're the ones living through crushing rent, student loan debt, wages that can't keep up, and a future that feels like it's slipping further out of reach. And yet, too many are still handing that future away because of party loyalty, or because they'd rather double down on identity than face the facts. Here's the reflection. Voting isn't about proving who you're loyal to. It's about shaping the world you actually have to live in. And if the youth keep buying into the same empty promises, then the cycle repeats. More debt, more instability, and more regret. But if they get informed, if they use their voices with intention, then maybe, just maybe, they can rewrite the story. Not just for themselves, but for the generation coming right after them. And with that, I'll leave you here. As always, thank you for sticking with me all the way through. If you got something out of this video, don't forget to like, comment, and share. It really helps us keep building this community. I'll see you in the next one. But first, I'm off to refill my coffee. Third cup of the day. Don't judge me. It's cheaper than therapy.